Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Srimad Bhagavatam Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna and welcome to all the devotees. As we continue Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 14, verses 34 to 44, completing this chapter. Let us continue. Om Jnanatmivandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Taparakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarudhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavinabhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sarva Shastra Piyusha Sarva Vedeka Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokai Tritpradam Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavato Prabhu Kalibando Didaditya Shri Krishna Parivartitam Srimad Bhagavatam, O nectar churn from the ocean of all Vedic scriptures, O most transcendental fruit, O most prominent transcendental fruit of all the Vedas, O you are enriched with the jewels of all spiritual philosophical conclusions, O you grant spiritual vision to all the people of the world, the white life breath of the Vaishnava devotees. O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. You are actually Lord Krishna who has returned amongst us. Paramananda Pathaya Premavarshasha Rayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namastute, O Srimad Bhagavatam. I offer respectful obeisance unto you. By reading you entertain transcendental bliss. For your syllables rain pure love of God upon the reader. You always to be served by everyone, for you are incarnation of Lord Krishna. Madhakabandhu Matsangim Madguru Manmahatana Manishtaraka Madbhagya Madananda Namastute, O Srimad Bhagavatam. O my only friend, O my companion, O my teacher, O my great wealth, my deliverer, O my good fortune, O my bliss, offer respectful obeisances unto you. Asadu sadhu tadahi natini chochataraka anamancha kadachin mam premna ritkate ospura, O Srimad Bhagavatam. O give us saintliness to run saint, to uplift the very fallen. Please do not ever leave me. Please become manifest Mahatma truth, accompanied with pure love of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya Yutonvayaditarata Sarte Swabhigna Swara Tene Brahma Hidaya Adikavaye Muyanti Yatsuraya Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Tisarvo Mrisha Damna Svena Sadani Rastapurkam Satyam Param Dhimaihi. O my Lord Shri Krishna, Son of Vasudeva, O pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisance unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and primal cause of all causes of creation, sustenance, destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations and is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by illusory representation of water seen in fire, land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universe is temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, pure, factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is still existent in transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representation of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Prayanal Paisha Sabya Kalavasmin Yuge Jana Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagyupadrita Olanadum. In this iron age of Kali, many but short lives are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided luck and above are always disturbed. Narayan Namaskritya Narachevam Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance to the personality of God Narayan, unto Narendra Vish, the supremest human being, and the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Savaipum Soparodharmo Yathabhaktira Doksha Haitupya Pratyata Yayat, Suprasidhati, the supreme occupation dharma for all humanity, that by which man can attain to loving devotional service and the Lord. Such service must be unmotivated, uninterrupted, completely satisfied the self. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janaya Aktyusavairagyam Jnanam Chaya Dahitukam. By rendering devotional service under the personality of God Shri Krishna, one immediately acquires positive knowledge and detachment from the world. Vedanti Tattva Vidas Tattvam is Yaj Gnanam advayam rameti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sabhyate. Learn the transcendental, so know the absolute truth, called as non-dual substance, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. Shru Shru Shoshadananasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchisyan Mahatsavaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevana. O wise born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Shranvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ryadantastoya Vadrani Vidunati Suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma, supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor, truthful devotee, cleanses desire from material enjoyment. From the heart of the devotees develop the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtues when properly heard and chanted. Nastaprayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloki Bhaktir Bhavati Nishtiki. By regular attendance and classes in the Bhagavatam, a rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service under the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are continuing Srimad Bhagavatam based on the teachings of His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Hare Krishna and welcome. 2013, the first session of Bhagavatam. Let us recap first canto, chapter 14, verses 11 to 33. Anyone had any points that 2023? Anyone can recollect any points that you could remember from our last session? Right, Hemavati Radhika says, Krishna had a huge family. Yeah, very huge family. And we are part of his family also. Yes, ISKCON is unified factor where we feel connected as one family with Krishna, one and original Father. We should connect others to Krishna as well. And yes, and we get universal brotherhood from that. So Prabhupada describes Krishna's family, a huge family. And it's true. We are all connected to Krishna. When Krishna was here 5,000 years ago, he had a huge family and he dutifully, as a householder, served and fulfilled everyone's desires to the highest degree, to teach this world true love and how to perfectly live in this world with him in the center, Krishna in the center. So we are also fortunate. In fact, our eternal link is with Krishna. Every living entity is connected to Krishna. Some know it, some don't. Those that know it, they have realized it. Some have realized it, and, or you could say, few have realized it, and many have not. So we all on this journey to realize our eternal connection, relationship with Krishna. And in today's purports, we will read, Srila Prabhupada will enlighten us further on that relationship. So if we really want brotherhood, if we really want peace, then we have to make peace with Krishna first. Then only will there be peace. Sharina says, Haribo, please accept my humble obeisances. Everything in this material world is false shelter. Only Krishna is a true shelter, connecting everything to Krishna. That way we will remain Krishna conscious. Yes. We've taken false shelter, and even though the false shelter in this world fail us again and again and again and again, still we do not learn our lesson. Many don't learn the lesson. They say people have thick skulls. They don't get it. And as long as we don't get that, then we will get the lessons again and again and again. And we will get lessons in all different forms, shapes, sizes, but the lessons will definitely come again and again and again. It's like you walking into a beehive. And if you walk into a beehive, what's going to happen? Well, you most likely are going to get stung. So you get stung and you continue messing with the bees. And you get stung and you continue. Even though it's painful, you still continue with that activity of messing with the bees. The lesson would be that as soon as you get stung, the reason you got stung is a sign that what you did was not correct. So therefore, move away from the bees. That would be the appropriate reaction. Just like we were mentioning, Srila Prabhupada discusses this point of being caught in the crocodile of time, just like Gajendra was caught in the crocodile. The goal of being, when you are caught, is to get freed from the crocodile, right? Not to be complacent in the, when you are caught in the crocodile, thinking, okay, it's okay, or trying to fight. No, trying different remedial actions. The goal is to get out of the grips of the crocodile. So we also need to understand and realize that. And as long as we don't realize that, we will be causing pain to ourselves. The sooner we realize it, and the sooner we start practicing seriously our Krishna consciousness to revive our relationship with Krishna, the sooner we can be freed. Naturally, it's not an overnight journey. So we should be prepared. We should do our best to live in this world as best as we can, so that we can continue to practice Krishna consciousness with as less disturbance as possible. And in today's session, Vidura will also share with us what we should not do so that we can keep on this journey of Krishna consciousness with less despondency, less distress, less trouble. Then Nalini Kanta says, always seek protection from the Lord. Become more and more dependent on Krishna, our true shelter. Analogy of spark and the fire, always stay in the fire of Krishna consciousness. Yes. We come into this world thinking, I'm it, I'm the controller, I'm the enjoyer, I'm the center of everything, everybody needs to serve me. We need to realize that actually Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. Krishna should be the true center and the true enjoyer. And our real shelter is in depending on Krishna, taking shelter of Krishna, depending on Krishna, and naturally doing our best and ultimately leaving the rest to Krishna. Thank you very much. Let us continue. So we're going to be covering 34 to 44, the last section of this wonderful chapter. So just to recap, Narad Muni did come to Yudhishthira Maharaj and hint to Yudhishthira Maharaj what's going to happen. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj witnesses the ill omens. After witnessing the ill omens, Arjuna appears on the scene and he is despondent. He is, there's tears pouring from his eyes, and Yudhishthira Maharaj tries to inquire why. So he begins to find out from Arjuna. First, he asks about the welfare of the Yadavas, the Yadu dynasty and those connected. And now from 34, Yudhishthira is going to inquire about or glorify Krishna and inquire further. 34. Bhagavan api Govindo Brahmanyo Bhaktavatsala Kachit Ore Sudharmayam Sukham Aste Shurid Vrita. He is Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who gives pleasure to the cows, the senses, and the brahmanas, who is very affectionate towards his devotees, enjoying the pious assembly at Dwarkapuri, surrounded by friends. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is inquiring whether Krishna, and he's describing Krishna, Bhagavan api Govinda Brahmanya Bhakta Vatsala. So he's giving a wonderful description, glorification of Krishna, who is Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Govinda, giver of pleasure to the cows and senses. He is Brahmanyo, the protector of the Brahmanas. And Bhakta Vatsala, he is very affectionate devotees. Is he enjoying the pious assembly at Dwarkapuri surrounded by friends? He's not asking, is Krishna okay? He's asking, is Krishna enjoying with his devotees? So Prabhupada in the purport says, here in this particular verse, the Lord is described as Bhagavan, Govinda, Brahmanya, and Bhaktavatsal. He is Bhagavan Swayam, or the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, full with all opulences, all power, all knowledge, all beauty, all fame, all renunciation. No one is equal to or greater than him. He is Govinda because he is the pleasure of the cows and the senses. Those who have purified their senses by the devotional service of the Lord can render unto him real service and thereby derive transcendent pleasure out of such purified senses. So what is keeping us from realizing Krishna as Bhagavan, Govinda, Brahmanya, and Bhaktavatsal? What is keeping us from rendering service to Krishna and deriving pleasure, transcendental pleasure from that service? Prabhupada says, those who have purified their senses. So as long as our senses is not purified, we will not be able to genuinely, purely render service. Our service will be tainted, tinged by the three modes. So our focus through the practice of devotional service, sadhana bhakti, first and foremost, is to ensure that we purify our senses. We know that the goal is pure devotional service, but on the journey to pure devotional service, we need to purify our senses, which implies that I should live in this world so that my senses don't become contaminated. And when we talk about senses, we talk about all our senses. Our eyes, our ears, our nose, our tongue, sense of touch, including our mind. So we want to live in this world so that our senses are not contaminated. What are our senses coming in touch with? Because whatever the senses come in touch with, that is what you're going to consume. That is what you're going to get impacted by. And if you are consuming impurities, then that is going to hamper your devotional practice. And in today's world, the impurities are in the palm of your hand. Previously, you had to go to a place to become contaminated. Now those places are right in your hands through your cell phone, through the internet. So one has to be very careful. If one wants to render service, real service to the Supreme Lord, and through that service derive transcendental pleasure out of such purified senses. See, Prabhupada qualifies that you cannot derive transcendental pleasure from your service just out of impure senses. The impure senses will not be able to tap into that environment or relish that service. So we want to purify our senses. Srila Mahaprabhu described in Shikshastikam, Cheto Darpan Marjanam. This is the first stage of Marjanam, cleansing the consciousness, cleansing the heart, purifying our senses. Once that's there, then we are able to render service, and through that service derive great satisfaction, great pleasure. Only the impure, conditioned living being cannot derive any pleasure from the senses. But being illusioned by false pleasure of the senses, he becomes the servant of the senses. So we want to come out of this conditioning. From Godas to Goswami, from the servant of the senses to the master of the senses. Master meaning our pleasure that we derive is in relation to Krishna. Our senses are offered for the pleasure of Krishna. We do everything that is pleasing Krishna. Therefore, we need his protection for our own interest. So Prabhupada is expanding on this point of Govinda, because he is the pleasure of the cows and the senses. Krishna is really meant, ultimately, as Prabhupada described, life means to enjoy. So here we see Krishna, life means to enjoy. Krishna means Govinda, one who gives pleasure to the senses. So how do you enjoy? How you enjoy through your senses. So if you got Krishna, you got Govinda, then you can enjoy. This is the secret of enjoying. Therefore, we need his protection for our own interests. The Lord is the protector of the cows and the Brahmanical culture. A society devoid of cow protection and Brahmanical culture is not under the direct protection of the law. Just as prisoners in the jail are not under the protection of the king, but under the protection of a servant, of a severe agent of the king. Without cow protection and cultivation of Brahmanical qualities in the human society, at least for a section of the members of society, no human civilization can prosper at any land. So Brahmanical culture, protecting Brahmanical culture and protecting cows is very, very important for human civilization. Now Prabhupada makes another amazing statement. By Brahmanical culture, the development of the dormant qualities of goodness, namely truthfulness, equanimity, sense control, forbearance, simplicity, general knowledge, transcendental knowledge, and firm faith in the Vedic wisdom, one can become a Brahmana and thus see the Lord as he is. So now Prabhupada is sharing some light that if you want to see Krishna, then one should become a Brahmana, meaning one should cultivate Brahmanical culture, meaning one should develop the dormant qualities of goodness. And then Prabhupada expand those qualities of goodness: truthfulness, equanimity, sense control, forbearance, simplicity, general knowledge, transcendental knowledge, and firm faith. So therefore, Brahmanical qualities, Brahmanical culture is also very, very important if we want to see the Lord as he is. If we are not seeing Krishna, then it would imply that we have not cultivated Brahmanical qualities or the qualities of goodness sufficiently. So we can work on reviving and cultivating these qualities more and more and more. See, just being Krishna conscious is not sufficient. Even though the practice of Krishna consciousness will revive our dormant love for Krishna eventually, but we can expedite the process by embracing these qualities of goodness. So, for example, truthfulness. So we basically create a culture within ourselves that I will always speak the truth. Equanimity, trying to, keep calm in all circumstances. Sense control, connected to the previous point we made. Forbearance, tolerating, trying to be simple. The more we understand we're not this body, the more simple we will be. Why? Because most of excessive facility comes from the point that I am this body and therefore I need to give pleasure to this body. But if I realize that I'm not this body, then I will just do the bare necessity that is sufficient to keep the body and soul healthy and continue to practice spiritual life. Then general knowledge, transcendental knowledge, and firm faith. So by cultivating and increasing these qualities, we increase the probability of us going closer and closer to seeing the Lord. So we should not minimize the importance of cultivating Brahmanical qualities. Brahmanical qualities, being a Brahmana doesn't mean I just, have my thread or I just chant my Gayatris and that's it. No. Being a Brahmana means developing the qualities of a Brahmana, means understanding Krishna, means applying and practicing Krishna consciousness. After surpassing the Brahmanical perfection, one has to become a devotee of the Lord so that his loving affection in the form of protector, in the form of proprietor, master, friend, son, and lover can be transcendently achieved. So Prabhupada is now taking it further. Being a Brahmana is not all in all. That's a stage where one can then see the Lord as he is, and then from there develop our loving affection further and further so that we can relate with Krishna in one of the 5 different rasas. So that is an important stage, or the next stage in our development of Krishna consciousness. The stage of a devotee, which attracts the transcendental affection of the Lord, does not develop unless one has developed the qualities of a Brahmana as mentioned above. I'll repeat. The stage of a devotee, which attracts the transcendental affection of the Lord, does not develop unless one has developed the qualities of a Brahmana as above mentioned. So you can't go to grade 5 or grade 6 if you can't go to grade 6 if you haven't completed grade 5. You can't develop or attract Krishna's loving affection. You cannot develop your devotional service if you haven't developed the qualities of a Brahmana. So we want to understand that developing goodness and the qualities that are connected to goodness is crucial for our practice as sadhakas. Whatever quality is conducive for our relationship with Krishna, we need to embrace that. If we are serious about our relationship with Krishna, the Lord is inclined to a Brahmana of quality and not of false prestige. I can have a Brahman thread. I can be Brahmanically initiated. And I can say, well, I'm a Brahmana. I can be even doing some puja and worshiping the deity, and just showing myself, I'm a Brahmana. But my character, my qualities clearly show that I am far from being Brahmanical. So Prabhupada is making very clear that the Lord is not impressed with that. And naturally, you cannot fool the Lord. You may be able to fool the devotees, you may be able to fool the crowd, but you can't fool Krishna. Krishna knows you in and out. And it is Krishna who we want to attract. It is Krishna who we want to impress through our devotion. So if you want to attract Krishna, then one needs to follow the process of purification of our senses, cultivating these wonderful and auspicious qualities, then developing our love for Krishna. Then Krishna will be attracted and inclined. Those who are less than a Brahmana by qualification cannot establish any relation with the Lord. Very, very powerful statement. Those who are less than a Brahmana by qualification cannot establish any relation with the Lord. Just as fire cannot be kindled from raw earth unless there is wood. Although there is a relation between wood and the earth, since the Lord is all perfect in himself, there could not be any question in his welfare. And Mahayudhishthira refrained from asking this question. He simply inquired about his residential place, Dwarkapuri, where pious men assemble. The Lord stays only where pious men assemble and takes pleasure in their glorifying the supreme truth. Mahayudhishthira was anxious to know about the pious men and their pious acts in the city of Dwarka. So Yudhishthira Maharaj knew and knows that Krishna is always in the best position. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nothing ill can come upon Krishna. Because wherever Krishna is, there's auspiciousness. Wherever Krishna is, there is victory, glorification. Wherever glorification of Krishna is, there is victory, prosperity. There is all auspiciousness. So to say, how is Krishna, that is not a proper question. Because Krishna can only be auspicious. Krishna can only be perfect. Krishna can only be transcendental and blissful. But Yudhishthira Maharaj is inquiring, what is Krishna? How is Krishna in the assembly of those pious men and in Dwarka? Krishna loves to be assembled by pious men who glorify the supreme truth. So he's asking very wonderfully about those in Dwarka. And Prabhupada very, very wonderfully in this purport have shared how we as sadhakas can advance. The qualities that we need to imbibe, the qualities we need to apply and practice, and the stages that we need to go through. Just chanting Hare Krishna is good enough. At the same time, we can expedite our process by embracing, cultivating these qualities as well. Coming to the platform of goodness. And then from goodness, rise beyond goodness to transcendental, Suddha Sattva, pure goodness. 35 and 36. Mangalaya cha lokanam, shemaya cha bhavaya cha, asteya du kulam bodav, adyonanta sakhapumam, yad bahu danda guptayam, swapuryam yadavo richita, kridanti paramanandam, maha paurushika iva. The original personality of Godhead, the supreme enjoyer, is staying in the ocean of the Yadu dynasty with Balaram, the primeval Lord Ananta, for the welfare, protection, and general progress of the entire universe. And the members of the Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of the Lord, are enjoying life like the residents of the spiritual sky. So very, very wonderful description and realization by Yudhishthira Maharaj. When the Supreme Lord is there, when Ananta Balaram is there, what do we receive? What do we get? What does the world receive? Welfare, protection, and general progress. This is why they have come. And we can just contemplate on the good fortune of the residents of Vrindavan, Dwarka, Thura, in association with Krishna and Balaram. Full protection to the degree that they are enjoying like the residents of the spiritual sky. In the purport, Prabhupada writes, as we have discussed many times, the personality of Godhead Vishnu resides within each and every universe in two capacities, namely, as the Garbhodakasai Vishnu and the Kshirodakasai Vishnu. The Kshirodakasai Vishnu has his own planet on the northern top of the universe, and there is a great ocean of milk where the Lord resides on the bed of Ananta, incarnation of Baladev. Thus, Maharaj Yudhishthira has compared the Yadu dynasty to the ocean of milk where Sri Balaram, to the Ananta where Lord Krishna resides. He has compared the citizens of Dwarka to the liberated inhabitants of the Vaikuntha Lokas, beyond the material sky, further than we can see with our eyes and beyond the sevenfold coverings of the universe. There is the causal ocean in which all the universes are floating like footballs, and beyond the causal ocean, there is an unlimited span of spiritual sky, generally known as the effulgence of Brahman. Within this effulgence, there are innumerable spiritual planets, and they are known as Vaikuntha planets. Each and every Vaikuntha planet, each and every Vaikuntha planet is many, many times bigger than the biggest universe within the material world. And in each of them, there are innumerable inhabitants who look exactly like Vishnu. These inhabitants are known as Mahapurushikas, or persons directly engaged in the service of the Lord. They are happy in those planets and are without any kind of misery. And they live perpetually in full youthfulness, enjoying life in full bliss and knowledge without fear of birth, death, old age, or disease, and without the influence of Kala, eternal time. Maharaj Yudhishthira has compared the inhabitants of Dwarka to the Mahapurushikas of Vaikuntha Loka, because they are so happy with the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, there are many references to the Vaikuntha Lokas, and they are mentioned there as Maddhama, or the kingdom of the Lord. So very, very wonderful description. What's interesting is how Srila Prabhupada very systematically describes from the material world the planet of Lord Vishnu within this universe, and then expands right through the Vaikuntha planets, which are bigger than the biggest universe. The biggest universe in Krishna book, 10th canto, we hear how Lord Brahma came to see Krishna one time at Dwarka, and he knocked on the door, saw the bodyguard. The bodyguard stopped Balaram from entering. Yes, stopped Brahma from entering. Yes, how can I help you? I want to see Krishna. And who should I say is calling? It's Brahma. Who else? Okay, so then the bodyguard goes to Krishna and says, Krishna, Brahma, easier to see you. And Krishna says, ask him which Brahma. So then bodyguard comes back and says, Krishna wants to know which Brahma are you. So you can imagine Brahma coming like, I'm the only one with 4 heads in this universe, the Brahma. So then he asked the God, what type of question is that? Like, which Brahma? Brahma, like, this is Brahma, 4-head Brahma. Okay. So the God goes and tells Krishna, 4-head Brahma. It's okay, bring him in. And Krishna allows, the bodyguard allows for the 4-headed Brahma to come in. And as soon as he comes to see Krishna, he sees all the other Brahmas who cannot see him, and the other Brahmas cannot see the other Brahmas that are coming. But each Brahma was invited by Krishna's potency, and each Brahma is coming, offering obeisances to Krishna and leaving. And Brahma is seeing one by one all these Brahmas that are coming, one with 10 heads, one with 20 heads, one with 50 heads, one with 100 heads, 500 heads, 1,000 heads, 1,000,000 heads, 10 million heads, 100 million heads. And he's seeing this and he's totally bewildered. And he's brought down to size. He's got 4 heads. And no Brahma had 4 heads. The least head was like 10 heads, 20 heads, 30 heads. So he has the least number of heads. So he was brought down to size. He felt like a mosquito in front of all these huge Brahmas. So it's described that our Brahma has 4 heads, which means that our universe is 4 billion miles in diameter. That means the smallest universe that Krishna has in his creation is 4 billion miles. We are in the smallest universe. There are Brahmas that have 100 million heads. That means 4 billion miles, or 100 times 400 billion miles universe size. And no matter how, if you take the biggest universe, then Vaikuntha is much bigger than the biggest universe. And that's one Vaikuntha planet. And there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets. So inconceivable. One purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that we the minority in creation of Krishna. We like only 10%. The 90% is in the spiritual world, who are practicing Krishna consciousness, or rather who are living, not practicing, who are living Krishna consciousness. They are Mahapurushikas. They are persons who are directly engaging in the service of the Lord. So that's the 90%. So we the minority, we want to follow the majority. It looks like in this material creation, the devotees are the minority. No, we're not the minority front. We're the majority front. We are part of the majority front, 90% in the spiritual world. We need to follow them. And Yudhishthira Maharaj is comparing Dwarka to the spiritual world. Krishna, he's the creation of Dwarka, the facility of Dwarka was out of this world. That's how they say it, out of this world. With meaning, not just out of this world, it was really out of this world. It's coming from the spiritual. It's like the spiritual. It's not different from the spiritual. And what is so great about that? Like, okay, it's like the spiritual, so what? Well, Prabhupada describes that if it's like the spiritual world, meaning they are happy in those planets, they are happy in Dwarka, and they are without any kind of misery. They are living perpetually in full youthfulness. enjoying life in full bliss and knowledge without fear of birth, death, old age, and disease, and without the influence of Kala, eternal time. Sounds like an amazing place for me to be. No doubt. That is our home. That is where we belong. So we need to strive. We need to understand this is where we belong. This is why we do not like getting old. We do not like misery. We do not like to get old or diseased or experience birth and death or the influence of time. Why? Because we are coming from that environment that does not have these aspects. So if we really want to return back to the spiritual world, then we need to be convinced of the practice of Krishna consciousness. We need to be convinced that this is where we belong. And to remind us again and again, Krishna appears in this world. He brings the spiritual world to this material world to show us, like a stage, presenting. It's like an ad. It's advert. Krishna also comes to advertise, to remind us, here we are. This is where you're supposed to be. So Krishna tries to attract us again and again. And the pure devotees are revealing this true destination. This is where we belong. This is where every one of us belong. This material world is not our real home. Therefore, we need to become convinced. We need to then apply and practice our Krishna consciousness seriously. And to the degree we are convinced, to that degree we will practice. To that degree we practice, we will cultivate the qualities of goodness, the Brahmanical culture. We will embrace the qualities of goodness. We will embrace what is required for us, for our perfection. It's like Prabhupada gives exactly like a businessman. If a businessman, if an entrepreneur is convinced that he wants to be successful, then he will, when he sees an opportunity, he will grab that opportunity with all his might and effort and energy, because he's serious. He's not going to, take the opportunity like half-hearted and, waste time, not, be serious. Okay, look at it, once a week, put some energy, go on a holiday, take some time out. No, he's going to be serious about practicing Krishna consciousness. Sorry, he's going to be serious about his business and really do whatever it takes to make it successful. Similarly, if we are serious and convinced that I'm a servant of Krishna, then I will do everything that is required for that relationship, even if it is difficult, even if it is challenging, even if it takes time. But I will be happily embracing those activities. Why? Because I know, I'm convinced that this is leading me to the right path. This is my goal. This is my path. A businessman and an entrepreneur who is convinced will not traverse the path of business, success in business, morosely. Like, yeah, this is difficult, what to do, I'm not so happy. No. In fact, they will even artificially, keep exciting them, right? Themselves. No, I'm happy, I'm the best, I'm the most successful. They'll use all these affirmations and they keep themselves floating in this type of enthusiasm, like they're successful already. Just consider, they living every moment. If you've studied some of these successful people, they're living every moment like they are completely successful and enjoying the opulence that they want. We also need to practice our Krishna consciousness like we are already in the spiritual world. We are under the full shelter and protection of Krishna. So very, very important realization by Yudhishthir Maharaj that is sharing, realizing that those who are in Dwarka are so fortunate because Krishna is there. What else do you want? And Krishna in Dwarka makes all the arrangements for his servants, for his associates. They have given their lives to him, and he will do everything for them. If we give our life to Krishna, and it belongs to Krishna anyway, you're really not giving Krishna anything outside which is not his. You are his. Nothing belongs to you. Everything belongs to Krishna. So really offering ourselves to Krishna is already something that is his. It's just that now you are recognizing that, yes, Krishna, I belong to you. I was trying to be separated. I was trying to enjoy separately. I was trying to be you. Now I realize I'm actually part and parcel of you. So when we surrender to Krishna, naturally, then all this becomes our rightful claim, our rightful inheritance. 37. Yat pada shushrushana sana mukhya karmana satyadayo divasta sahasra yochishtam nirijit nirjit tya sankhya tridasham tat ashisho haranti vajrayuda valabho chittam. Simply by administering comforts at the lotus feet of the Lord, which is the most important of all services. The queens at Dwarka, headed by Satyabhama, induce the Lord to conquer the demigods. Thus, the queens enjoy things which are prerogatives of the wives of the controller of thunderbolts. Simply by administering comforts at the lotus feet of the Lord, which is the most important of all services. Yudhishthir Maharaj is sharing the inner consciousness and mood of the queens of Dwarka. This consciousness, which is a very, very important principle, mukhya, yat pada shushrushana mukhya karmana. The essence of the consciousness. What is the essence of the consciousness? Oh, it's not they want to enjoy. Krishna in Dwarka has opulences that is inconceivable. The beauty of Dwarka, the majestic opulence is just inconceivable of Dwarka. Everything is materially perfect from a material perspective. If you had to design something using material elements to be the most perfect habitable environment, that plus inconceivably more is Dwarka. Because materially, you can only develop materially, but Krishna's Dwarka is spiritual. So the residents of Dwarka weren't there just for material opulence and enjoying. No, what was the essence of their consciousness? It was simply administering comforts at the lotus feet of the Lord. They loved Krishna, and Krishna loved them. They were simply there to serve Krishna, to give pleasure to Krishna. And because of their relationship as queens of Dwarka, and they were there to give pleasure to Krishna, following the supreme Queen of Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani, whose only consciousness, whose only thought, whose every being, every part of her being is giving pleasure to Krishna. Even if it gives the greatest pain to her, that is her greatest pleasure, to give pleasure to Krishna. So they all are simply there to give pleasure to Krishna. For those souls, Krishna will reciprocate. And Yudhishthira Maharaj is describing what is that reciprocation. Thus the queens enjoy things which are prerogatives of the wives, of the control of demigods. Krishna was reciprocating with them, giving them the pleasure that was only due for the wives of Indra. What is that? Prabhupada in the purport says, Satyabhama, one of the principal queens of Lord Shri Krishna at Dwarka. After killing Narakasura, Lord Krishna visited the palace of Narakasura, accompanied by Satyabhama. He went to Indraloka also with Satyabhama, and she was received by Sachidevi, who introduced her to the mother of the demigods, Aditi. Aditi was very much pleased with Satyabhama, and she blessed her with the benediction of permanent youth as long as Lord Krishna remained on the earth. So it's interesting how these personalities in Dwarka were eternally connected to Krishna, eternal Nitya Siddhas. They're coming from the spiritual world. They are eternal associates from Dwarka, from the spiritual world. And they come to this world at a scheduled time to perform the pastimes so that we can become attracted to them. In the spiritual world, we just read Srila Prabhupada describing they are eternally there, eternally youthful. When they come to this material world, the influence of time is there. But we see how Krishna's pastimes, these associates also, they interact with different personalities and they get benedicted. That you will be benedicted, like yes, Satyabhama is getting benedicted by Aditi. When Aditi, Queen Satyabhama is serving Aditi so nicely, and Aditi blesses you. Okay, I bless you with permanent youth as long as Lord Krishna remains. So we see Krishna using his pure devotees as instruments to give blessings of youthfulness, which are really eternally there for the residents of the Nitya Siddhas. But it's like they're getting it through a blessing. And naturally, if Krishna is eternally youthful, why wouldn't those who are eternally Nitya Siddhas associated with Krishna be eternally youthful? They are. But they get the eternal youthfulness through blessings. It's Krishna's pastimes. Aditi also took her with her to show her the special prerogatives of the demigods in the heavenly planets. When Satyabhama saw the Parijata flower, she desired to have it in her palace at Dwarka. After that, she came back to Dwarka along with her husband and expressed her willingness to have the Parijata flower at her palace. Satyabhama's palace was especially bedecked with valuable jewels, and even in the hottest season of summer, the inside of the palace remained cool, as if air-conditioned. She decorated her palace with various flags, heralding the news of her great husband's presence there. Once, along with her husband, she met Draupadi, and she was anxious to be instructed by Draupadi in the ways and means of pleasing her husband. Now we are hearing about Dwarka, Satyabhama, and when Draupadi comes to Dwarka, Satyabhama relates with Draupadi in a way that amplifies the consciousness that Yudhishthira has already shared. Their consciousness is, how can I please Krishna? How can I serve Krishna so that he's pleased? When Draupadi arrives, Satyabhama is so happy. She doesn't feel threatened. She's not envious. She's not jealous. No. She's so happy, and she wants to learn from Draupadi how to increase her service of pleasing Krishna. Why? Draupadi was expert in this affair because she kept 5 husbands, the Pandavas, and all were very much pleased with her. So to please one husband is a challenge. What to talk about in Kali Yuga? To please 5 husbands, glorious. And all the 5 husbands are happy, glorious. So naturally, Satyabhama wants to learn from Draupadi, who's expert at pleasing husbands, so that she can please Krishna. Such a wonderful attitude, such a wonderful consciousness, that if I see someone who is more successful than me in devotional service, I love to learn from them. I don't envy them. Draupadi was expert in this affair because she kept 5 husbands, Pandavas, and all were very much pleased with her. On receipt of Draupadi's instructions, she was very much pleased and offered her good wishes and returned to Dwarka. She was the daughter of Satyajit. After the departure of Lord Krishna, when Arjuna visited Dwarka, all the queens, including Satyabhama and Rukmini, lamented for the Lord with great feeling. At the last stage of her life, she left for the forest to undergo severe penances. Satyabhama instigated her husband to get the Parijata flower from the heavenly planets. And Lord Krishna got it even by force from the demigods, as a common husband secures things to please his wife. As explained already, the Lord had very little to do with so many wives to carry out their orders like an ordinary man. But because the queens accepted the high quality of devotional service, namely administering the Lord all comforts, the Lord played the part of a faithful and complete husband. No earthly creature can expect to have such things from the heavenly planets, from the heavenly kingdom, especially the Parijata flowers, which are simply to be used by the demigods. But due to their becoming the Lord's faithful wives, all of them enjoyed the special prerogatives of the great wives of the denizens of heaven. In other words, since the Lord is the proprietor of everything within his creation, it is not very astonishing for the queens of Dwarka to have any rare thing from any part of the universe. This is the glory of being the queens of Krishna. Now, Satyabhama asked Krishna to bring the Parijata flower, and Krishna said, yes, okay. That's what you want, okay. And Krishna goes to the heavenly planets and he has a war with the demigods. It's interesting, when Krishna comes to the demigods, they do not realize who Krishna is. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, like in the last statement of the purport. In other words, since the Lord is the proprietor of everything within his creation, it is not very astonishing for the queens of Dwarka to have any rare thing from any part of the universe. So if Krishna wants, he can go to any part of the universe and get anything he wants. But when Krishna went to the heavenly planets to get the Parijata flower, the demigods objected. Why did they object? Because they did not realize completely at that point who Krishna was. If they had realized, yes, Krishna is my master. Krishna is the one who put me in this position. It is all his opulences that we are administering. Nothing belongs to us. But they were thinking, no, how can you take the Parijata flower? It's not meant for the earthly planet. They're giving excuses. Well, it's Krishna's Parijata flower. It's Krishna's heavenly planet. It's Krishna's universe. He can do as he so desires. Like one time, somebody asked, why is Krishna blue? Because he didn't ask you. He can be whatever color he chooses. It's his free will. It's God. He doesn't need your permission. He doesn't need your stamp of approval. So he doesn't need demigods' approval. So the demigods objected. Krishna said, okay, I'm a Kshatriya. I'll fight you. Krishna fought them and won the battle. And he didn't take a Parijata flower. Krishna took the whole Parijata tree. And he bought the Parijata tree and he planted the tree in Satyabhama's garden. And Satyabhama was so happy. Krishna asked you for a Parijata flower. You bought me a tree. Wow, thank you. The Acharyas described that this tree, Krishna planted a tree in Satyabhama's garden. And the Parijata flowers would fall into Rukmini's garden. So in this way, Krishna would have his wonderful pastimes with the queens of Dwarka. 38. Yad bahu danda byoda yanu jivino yadu pravirahya kuto bayamuho adikraman tyang giribir aritam balat sabam sudarmam Suru Satam Mochitam, the great heroes of the Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of Lord Shri Krishna, always remain fearless in every respect. And therefore, their feet trample over the Sudharma assembly house, which the best demigods deserve, but which was taken away from them. The indication which was taken from them. That's it. So here we see the Yudhishthira Maharaj is describing the state of consciousness of the Yadus who are being protected by Krishna. Those who are depending on Krishna, those who are protected by Krishna, those who are serving Krishna. What is their consciousness in relation to fear? They always remain fearless. So another sign for us that if we are protected by Krishna, we will be fearless. If we have taken shelter of Krishna and convinced of Krishna's protection, we will be fearless. So this quality of fearlessness can also be a measure of our faith, of our surrender to Krishna. Always remain fearless in every respect. Will we experience fear? Yes, to the degree that there's impurities, to the degree that there is lack of surrender, to the degree that we don't have faith in Krishna's protection. Is there a disqualification for pure devotional service? No. But it should be an impetus to progress further, to come to this stage. So we already heard the glory of experiencing Vaikuntha. Now, the glory of being fearless, especially in this world of fear. Prabhupada, those who are directly servitors of the Lord are protected by the Lord from all fearfulness. And they also enjoy the best of things, even if they are forcibly accumulated. It is not that the devotees pray for fearlessness, pray to enjoy things. No. The devotees of the Lord, the direct servitors of the Lord, as we already heard, their only consciousness, their only thought, the only intention, their only aspiration, their only desire is how to serve the Lord for the pleasure of the Lord. Full stop. Nothing more. That is it. But in return, the Lord will want to serve his devotees. So he serves them by protecting them. This way, they are fearless. And he protects them by giving them whatever they want for their service, for their pleasure, for their comforts. This is Krishna's way of reciprocating. See, Krishna is not a thankless boss like in this world. You serve them, serve them, serve them, serve them. You give them the greatest service, they give you the least salary. You give them all the best hours of your day, and they give you the least return. That's the material bosses. Krishna is not like that. In fact, Krishna, you can give him the least service, and Krishna will take that least service and amplify it and give you the greatest reward that's incomparable to your least service. But we're not interested in giving Krishna the least service. We are interested in giving Krishna the greatest service. So it's inconceivable to how much Krishna can reciprocate. In fact, Krishna tells the gopis that their service, their love is beyond repayment. Krishna doesn't have the capacity to pay them back. He tells the gopis, simply accept your devotional service as payment. Because your love, your service, your dedication, your dependence, and the quality of your love is beyond repayment. So Krishna becomes fully indebted. The Lord is equal in behavior to all living beings, but he is partial to his pure devotees, being very affectionate towards them. The city of Dwarka was flourishing, being enriched with the best of things in the material world. The state assembly house is constructed according to the dignity of a particular state. In the heavenly planets, the state assembly house called Sudharma was deserving the dignity of the best of the demigods. Such an assembly house is never meant for any state of the globe because the human beings on the earth is unable to construct it. However far a particular state may be materially advanced. But during the time of Lord Krishna's presence on the earth, the members of the Yadu family forcibly brought the celestial assembly house to the earth and placed it in Dwarka. They were able to use such force because they were certain of the indulgence and protection of the Supreme Lord Krishna. In other words, the Lord is provided with the best things in the universe by his pure devotees. Lord Krishna was provided with all kinds of comforts and facilities available within the universe by the members of the Yadu dynasty, And in return, such servitors of the Lord were protected and fearless. So we can learn from this relationship of the Yadus with Krishna. They were happy to provide the best for Krishna. When we are serving the Supreme Lord, we should develop this consciousness that we want to provide the best for Krishna. If I will not buy something befitting my home, then how can I offer that to the Supreme Lord and for his facility? In fact, I should be providing the Lord the best of facilities. Naturally, according to our capacity, but that should be the consciousness. Like I was speaking to one devotee, and somebody had brought some tiles at the temple. So I asked him, what is this? Oh, somebody replaced the tiles, outside tiles at home. So they took the old tiles and they brought the old tiles to the temple, donation, and they put the new tiles at home. So I told the devotee, I said, actually, they should have brought the new tiles to the temple and either left the old tiles or also replace the old tiles with new tiles, not donate the old tiles to the temple. That's like saying, don't, and that's people's consciousness, right? Offering the used facility to the Supreme Lord. That is not the proper consciousness. If I'm replacing my tiles at home and I want the blessings of the Lord, I should then offer new tiles for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not give my old tiles to God. Yeah, you can have them. Give me blessings. No, that is not the consciousness. Consciousness is we should provide the best facility, the best curtains, the best offerings, the best flowers, the best of everything to the Supreme Lord. So Krishna will notice. Here the Yadu family, they wanted the best. So they went to the heavenly planets and they brought the assembly, like the White House of the demigods. They brought it, Sudharma. They brought Sudharma and they established it in Dwarka. And Krishna reciprocated. A forgetful, now Prabhupada is giving the converse. The Yadus, this is what they did, this is their consciousness. And Krishna gives them fearlessness. On the converse, a forgetful, conditioned soul is fearful. A pure devotee is never fearful. A pure devotee is never fearful. So if we are experiencing fear, don't be surprised. It tells us forgetful, conditioned soul. I need to progress further. I need to be more serious. So you will be put into situations like COVID. You'll be put into situations where you get hijacked. You'll be put in situations where there is danger. To bring out the fact that we need to make more progress, because you will feel fear. Prabhupada then continues, but a liberated soul is never fearful. Just as a small child, completely dependent on the mercy of his father, is never fearful of anyone. Just as a small child, completely dependent on the mercy of his father, is never fearful of anyone. A small child cannot do much. He does not have great capacity to protect himself, to do things. But what is the quality that is there that makes him fearless? It is dependence on the Father. We need to cultivate this dependence. Fearfulness is a sort of illusion for the living being when he is in slumber and forgetting his eternal relationship with the Lord. Since the living being is never to die by his constitution, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 2:20, then what is the cause of fearfulness? A person may be fearful of a tiger in a dream, but another man who is awake by his side sees no tiger there. The tiger is a myth for both of them, namely the person dreaming and the person awake, because actually there is no tiger. But the man forgetful of his awakened life is fearful, whereas the man who has forgotten his position, whereas the man who has not forgotten his position is not at all fearful. Thus, the members of the Yadu dynasty were fully awake in their service to the Lord, and therefore there was no tiger for them to be afraid of at any time. Even if there were a real tiger, the Lord was there to protect them. Hare Krishna. So, our experience of the apparent fear in this world is not real. It's a profound statement and a profound realization by the pure devotees of the Lord. That does not mean we artificially put ourselves in conditions that will harm and cause fear. But when you realize, like Srila Prabhupada in one purport says, that the miseries of this material world are superfluous, are practically like illusion, dream. They're irrelevant, they're non-existent for the spirit soul. The spirit soul is existing on a spiritual platform. And due to forgetfulness and being conditioned, we are forced to experience the nature of material life. But truly speaking, the negativity, the ill effects of this material world does not impact the soul. It is due to false ego that we are thinking we're experiencing and we go through the motions of experience. As we progress on the path of Krishna consciousness, as we revive our eternal relationship with Krishna through serious practice of Krishna consciousness, we will realize more and more these truths that Srila Prabhupada is revealing in his purports. That actually there is no tiger. Actually there is no COVID. Actually there is no war. Actually there is no birth, death, disease, and old age. It is simply the experience of a conditioned sleeping soul. When you awake to spiritual life again, and you look back, Prabhupada says, you look back to the material creation and you think, phew, what a bad dream. That's all. It is simply a bad dream. So don't take it seriously, but take your spiritual life seriously. We have to understand where we are placed and the influences that are there that is controlling us, both on a material plane and also on a spiritual plane. Every spirit soul brings upon them whatever they act upon and however they act upon in this world, however they act in this world. Therefore, Prabhupada writes in the previous purports that part of goodness means to at least have the general knowledge of your material situation. Don't be confused, don't be illusioned, don't be bewildered, don't be naive. Understand. Then also understand transcendental knowledge, our true identity, true freedom, true success, true perfection. And while understanding these both aspects, live in this world so that we can perfect our life and return to our natural state of existence. 39. Kachite namayam tata prashta teja vibhashime alaba mano vajnata kimva tato chiroshitam. My brother Arjuna. So these different verses that we've covered, very beautiful verses where Yudhishthira Maharaj is now inquiring about the Yadavas. Now Yudhishthira Maharaj says, attention moves Arjuna. Yudhishthira Maharaj saw the omens. Then he inquired about the Yadavas. Then those who Krishna was with in Dwarka. And now his attention is on Arjuna. Because up until now, Arjuna did not say a single word. And he's despondent. He's tearing. So Yudhishthira Maharaj says now, my dear Arjuna, please tell me whether your health is all right. Yudhishthira Maharaj is going to go through 10 different aspects that will put us in a state of despondency. So these 10 different states are very important for us to appreciate so that we do not place ourselves in those situations or aspects because they will lead us to despondency. If you want to be stressed, then you embrace an environment of stress. If you want to not be stressed, then you put yourself in environments that are not stressful. So these 10 different states or 10 different aspects are very instructive for us so that we do not put ourselves in that situation because it will bring depression, despondency, and we don't want that. First and foremost, please tell me whether your health is all right. You appear to have lost your bodily luster. Is this due to others disrespecting and neglecting you because of your long stay at Dwarka? So first, health. If you're not attentive to your health, you will lose bodily luster. If you're not attentive to your health, you will experience despondency, dis-ease, discomfort. So health, very important. then is this due to others disrespecting you? Not receiving respect can cause despondency. And neglecting you because of your long staying at Dwarka. So, being in an environment of neglect, disrespect and neglect. We want to be in an environment where you are respected, where you are given attention, not in a negative way, but in a way that amplifies your surrender to Krishna. It amplifies your devotion to Krishna. It brings out the sentiments to serve with greater capacity. But in the purport, from all angles of vision, Yudhishthira inquired from Arjuna about the welfare of Dwarka. But he concluded at last that as long as Lord Sri Krishna himself was there, nothing inauspicious could happen. But at the same time, Arjuna appeared to be bereft of his bodily luster. And thus the king inquired of his personal welfare and asked so many vital questions. 40. Kachinna bihato bhave sada dibir amangalai nadatam uktam artibhya asayat yat pratishrutam. Has someone addressed you with unfriendly, inauspicious words? Could you not give charity to one who asked? Or could you not keep your promise to someone? So having association which is unfriendly and where people speak inauspiciously, that can cause despondency. Where you're not able to give charity, that can cause despondency, especially when someone asks. And you cannot keep promises to someone. That can also bring despondency. So we want to try to avoid these circumstances. Like promising, no, I'll do anything for you, just tell me. Be very careful. We find in the history of the Vedic culture, from the Bhagavatam, where people, the king will say, no, I'll promise you, just ask. Very dangerous. Don't give anyone a promise without them asking you first what they want. Just by saying, yeah, ask for whatever, that's dangerous. Like you see even the demigods, no, just ask, we'll give you. No. Is it within your capacity? Will it cause destruction? So we're not here just to please everyone. Yes, I'll do. Or I owe you. The only person we owe is Krishna. The only person we want to promise is to Krishna and to his pure representatives, followers. But we want to make sure that when we promise, we keep. So don't just go around promising, because it will cause despondency. A Kshatriya or a rich man is sometimes visited by persons who are in need of money. When they are asked for a donation, it is a duty of the possessor of wealth to give in charity in consideration of the person, place, and time. If a Kshatriya or a rich man fails to comply with this obligation, he must be very sorry for this discrepancy. Similarly, one should not fail to keep his promise to give in charity. These discrepancies are sometimes causes of despondency, and thus failing, a person becomes subjected to criticism, which might also be the cause of Arjuna's plight. 41. Kachitvam brahmana balam gam vridam roginam striyam sharano pashritam sattvam natyakshi sharana prada. You are always the protector of the deserving living beings. such as the Brahmanas, the children, cows, women, old men, and the diseased? Could you not give them protection when they approach you for shelter? So if you're not able to give protection to these personalities, then you'll also be despondent. Purport. The Brahmanas, who are always engaged in researching knowledge for the society's welfare work, both materially and spiritually, deserve the protection of the king in all respects. Similarly, the children of the state, the cows, the diseased person, the woman, and the old man specifically require protection of the state or Kshatriya king. If such living beings do not get protection by the Kshatriya or the royal order or by the state, it is certainly shameful for the Kshatriya or the state. If such things had actually happened to Arjuna, Yudhishthira was anxious to know about these discrepancies. 42. Kachitvam nagamo gayam vasat kritam striyam parijito vata bhavam notam mer nasamer pati. Have you contacted a woman of impeachable character, or have you not properly treated a deserving woman, or have you been defeated on the way by someone who is inferior or equal to you? So these aspects can also cause despondency. Purport. It appears from this verse that during the time of the Pandavas, free contact between men and women was allowed in certain conditions only. The higher caste men, namely the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, could accept a woman of a Vaishya or Sudra community, but a man of a lower caste could not contact a woman of a higher caste. Even a Kshatriya could not contact a woman of a Brahmana caste. The wife of a Brahmana is considered one of the 7 mothers, namely one's own mother, the wife of a spiritual master or teacher, the wife of a Brahmana, the wife of a king, the cow, the nurse, and the earth. Such contact between men and women was known as Uttama or Adama. Contact of a Brahmana with a Kshatriya woman is Uttama, but the contact of a Kshatriya with a Brahmana woman is Adama and therefore condemned. A woman approaching a man for contact should never be refused, but at the same time, the discretion as above mentioned may also be considered. Bhima was approached by Hidimba from a community lower than the Sudras, and Yayati refused to marry the daughter of Sukracharya because of Sukracharya's being a Brahmana. Vyasadeva, a Brahmana, was called to beget Pandu and Dhritarashtra, who were Kshatriyas. Satyavati belonged to a family of fishermen, but Parasar, a great Brahmana, begot in her Vyasadeva. So there are so many examples of contact with women, but in all cases, the contrast were not abominable, nor were the result of such contact bad. Contact between men and women is natural, but that also must be carried out under regular principles so that the social consecration may not be disturbed or unwanted worthless population be increased for the unrest of the world. So Prabhupada is giving the situation that was there 5,000 years ago, the situation that have transpired with different examples of different personalities, both in Uttama and Adama relationship between men and women. And the conclusion is that the contact between men and women is a natural attraction. It is there in creation. Krishna has created it there so that this material creation can go on. At the same time, if we understand that we are not of this world, we are spiritual beings, then the attraction between man and woman is also a dream in relation to the previous purpose. So we want if we are conditioned, then we want to be conditioned under regulated principles so that we do not create further disturbance within ourselves or create unwanted population for the unrest of the world. So in a conditioned state, how to deal with the contact between man and woman is regulated according to place, time, place, and circumstance for the upliftment and the benefit of that environment. Just loose association with men and women is dangerous. Can souls associate loosely? Yes. They're free to do as they wish. Will they get reaction, good or bad? Yes, according to how they associate. So depending on your destination, depending on your desire, depending on your conviction of where you want to go, you will choose your association wisely. You will choose your association with the opposite gender wisely, understanding the consequence. If you play with fire, rest assured you will get burnt. So we want to take heed and understand. We may even be very strong. We may have a fire suit that protects us from fire. And then we may contact the opposite gender thinking, I am shielded, I got a fire suit, I'm protected, nothing was happened to me. But what about that person? You may be causing harm even to that person. And if that person is also trying to sincerely practice spiritual life, and you are increasing the fire of lust, even though you may not be affected, you are also causing a disservice. It is amazing how even aspiring devotees do not understand the power of lust. For example, there may be those who take selfies of themselves dressed inappropriately and they put it on Facebook. And others, aspiring souls, aspiring practitioners, they see and they comment, oh, how nice. If someone looks at you in a lustful way because of you not being dressed appropriately and therefore attracting inauspicious looks, you will increase the lust of those who are looking, and that lust will also impact you because it is the transfer of energy that you are attracting. And that will impact your consciousness, and that will impact your chanting, and that will impact your relationship with Krishna. So we want to increase the Uttama relationship and reduce the Adama relationships. It is abominable for a Kshatriya to be defeated by one who is inferior in strength or equal in strength. If one is defeated at all, he should be defeated by some superior power. Arjuna was defeated by Bhishmadev, and Lord Krishna saved him from the danger. This was not an insult for Arjuna, because Bhishmadev was far superior to Arjuna in all ways, namely age, respect, and strength. But Karna was equal to Arjuna, and therefore Arjuna was in crisis when fighting with Karna. It was felt by Arjuna, and therefore Karna was killed even by crooked means. Such are the engagements of the Kshatriyas, and Yudhishthira inquired from his brother whether anything undesirable happened on the way home from Dwarka. 43. Api sweet parya bunk tastvam sambodh gnam yan vrida balakan jugupsitam karma kinchit kritavam na yad akshamam. Have you not taken care of old men and boys who deserve to dine with you? Have you left them and taken your meals alone? Have you committed some unpardonable mistake which is considered to be abominable? So these aspects can also cause despondencies. It is a duty of a householder to feed first of all the children, the old members of the family, the brahmanas, the invalids. Besides that, an ideal householder is required to call for any unknown hungry man to come and dine before he himself goes to take his meals. He is required to call for such a hungry man thrice on the road. The neglect of this prescribed duty of a householder, especially in the matter of old men and children, is unpardonable. So we see even Krishna was a perfect householder, and Krishna perfectly showed how to live as a perfect householder. So this is one of the aspects. As a householder, we also meant to make sure that those who are hungry are fed. It is one of the duties of a householder. 44. Kachit preshta tamenta kachit pretata mentata ridaye natma banduna sunyosmi rahito nityam ma maneshete nyaka nakruk. Or, so after completing all the different other aspects that causes despondency, now Yudhishthira concludes. Or is it that you are feeling empty for all time because you might have lost your intimate friend, Lord Krishna? Or my brother Arjuna, I can think of no other reason for your becoming so dejected. It's interesting. Yudhishthira, just from the omens, intellectually, he could have concluded. Narad Muni already told him Krishna's left, hinted. When he saw the ill omens, which were so many, it was clear intellectually he was intelligent. He understood all the ill omens, and he could understand and appreciate, yes, intellectually Krishna left. But for the pure devotees, they do not like to talk about Krishna leaving. The pure devotees only want to talk about Krishna being with them, Krishna coming to them, Krishna in their heart, Krishna not leaving. When they talk about Krishna leaving, gives them great pain. So therefore, Yudhishthira did not want to talk about, did Krishna leave? But after all the evidences that he presented or inquiries that he presented, he comes to the conclusion that Arjuna's despondent. Possibly, yes, the time has come. Krishna has left. Purport. All the inquisitiveness of Yudhishthira about the world situation was already conjectured by Yudhishthira on the basis of Lord Krishna's disappearance from the vision of the world. And this was now disclosed by him because of the acute dejection of Arjuna, which could not have been possible otherwise. So even though he was doubtful about it, he was obliged to inquire frankly from Arjuna on the basis of Sri Narad's indication. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta, the purports of the first canto of 14th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Disappearance of Lord Krishna. Vantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Next week, we will continue with chapter 15. Are there any questions or comments that anyone has on what we have spoken about? Mother Archana Siddhi says, can one develop all Brahmanical qualities simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra? Yes, one can develop all the qualities required. In fact, there are 26 qualities of a devotee. They all can come, but all 26 qualities can come from chanting, as long as in chanting you have the one main quality, Eka Krishna Sharana, taking full and only shelter of Krishna. So if one is chanting with that consciousness of full dependence, full shelter on Krishna, then all qualities will develop. The fact that we are practicing devotional service, we are chanting Hare Krishna, we are associating devotees, we are hearing the glories of Krishna, all this is purifying. They're all cleansing our heart. And as our heart is getting cleansed, then these different godly qualities will develop naturally. If somebody is on the path of devotional service, guaranteed, if they are sincerely practicing, they will experience a revival of these qualities without fail. If not, one is not applying the process properly. So yes, they will revive, they will appear. But Prabhupada is encouraging us that while we're chanting and practicing, and while these qualities are revived as we purify, we can also still practically apply ourselves to revive these qualities. Example, truthfulness, right? So I don't wait for the chanting of the Hare Krishna to purify me so that the quality of truthfulness manifests and then I don't speak the truth, but then I don't speak lies. No, I can embrace truth, talking the truth even now. I make a commitment. From now, I will always speak the truth. That's it. And then you live by that. So now I am practically embracing a quality that's conducive for my practice and applying that. So like that, one can apply to one can apply the different qualities, even practically without them getting revived through the process of chanting. I hope that explained that. Shamananda Prabhu. Hare Krishna, thanks for the wonderful class. Nice how Srila Prabhupada concisely gave the description of the creation in the purport. Nice pastime about Brahma keeps us humble and check. Seeing all this and how insignificant each of us is it really, it is really amazing how we think we are the masters and lords of everything. Yes. It's, in one sense, it's laughable. Like, really? Seriously? But on the other hand, it's the reality. Yeah. It is really what's causing us suffering. And it is very deeply ingrained. Even within spiritual and circles, this abhiman, this consciousness of I am it, I am the center comes out. And it's not easy to overcome because of the lifetimes of conditioning. And therefore, Prabhupada repeats it again and again and again so that we hear it again and again, and we get reminded again and again. Therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, even when he would see his disciples, he would offer obeisance and say, "Das was me." Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj would offer obeisances to his own disciples and say, "I'm your servant, das was me." Therefore, his disciples would offer obeisances from a distance so that Guru Maharaj don't see. This was the consciousness of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. We see Srila Prabhupada. His consciousness was of a servant, not as the enjoyer. So, yes, it's a very profound influence that by the power of Krishna consciousness, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we all are able to overcome. Radhika, thank you very much, Prabhu, for the beautiful class. Truly divine nectar. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Sharonam says, forbearance is mentioned as a Brahmanical quality. Please describe what this is in practice. Thank you for the class. Yes, forbearance, perseverance. We need to tolerate. To survive in this world, there are different elements and aspects we need to tolerate. If we become disturbed by everything around us, we will go crazy. So therefore, we need to cultivate a certain type of forbearance, a certain type of focus, a certain type of determination, a certain type of no giving up attitude, and staying focused, persistence, keeping at it. So Krishna consciousness requires forbearance. I need to be able to stay on the path no matter what. On the first year of New Year, I gave the talk in Lens describing the point that we all vulnerable. We have issues of weaknesses. And because we are vulnerable, we should know that I need to be protected. Not that I'm infallible, I can do anything, I can survive through anything. No, by nature, we are fallible. Only Krishna is infallible. And because we are fallible, then I need to live in a very secure environment and be careful that I don't get derailed on the path of Krishna consciousness. So that means I may have to tolerate certain things which I don't like. I may have to shield myself from influence that can derail me. So in different ways, I have to shield myself from people that are toxic. I have to tolerate them so they don't influence me. I have to respect them because they're part and parcel of Krishna, but it doesn't mean that I should closely associate with them. In the third canto, we will read where it is described by Lord Kapila that in devotional life, we should select our association with like-minded devotees. Because there may be those aspiring souls, even in the practice of devotional service or in the practice of sadhana bhakti, that may be toxic for practice, that may be negative for practice. So then I need to shield myself because I may be influenced by that and get derailed. So if I'm not strong, shield myself and tolerate while I continue, because I do not want to give up the process to achieve the ultimate perfection that one can get in the human form of life, reviving our loving relation with Krishna, which takes billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of lifetimes to realize, to come to the stage. We are right at the door of our eternal home. Don't turn back. So therefore, forbearance. It may be difficult. Don't turn back. Understand where we are. And then just tolerate the little inconvenience, the little uncomfortable situation, the challenging people, the negative influence of this planet and its people. Tolerate it for one more lifetime so that we can perfect, open this door and see the smiling face of Krishna. Jessica, Hare Krishna, thank you for shared lessons. Thank you, Mata Achinasili. Thank you very much. So I'd like to thank everyone. Hare Krishna. We will meet next week. Kontra Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Bafana Prabhu says, this material world means it's a place where Maya is predominant. Maya is predominant. Maya is predominant means forgetfulness of God is predominant. Maya means nothing. Maya is not a ghost. Maya is a condition of consciousness. That's all. When you forget God or Krishna, that is called Maya. Lecture Srimad Bhagavatam 616, January 3rd, 1970, Los Angeles. Here's comment 2 on fear. Yes. So if you're fearing, what you're fearing is Maya. Because Maya is a state of consciousness. So we really need to practice Krishna consciousness seriously, overcome this conditioning of Maya, and enter into the real world of Maya. Entering the real world of Maya means, Maya also has another meaning, means mercy. So the real world of Maya, or we can put it this way, leave this world of Mahamaya, which is nothing, to the real world of Yoga Maya, which is everything. Hare Krishna. Tantra Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitai Go Pramanande. Hare Hare.